Nightwing number 10, written by Kyle Higgins, art by Eddie Barrows and Geraldo Borges. Last issue was a tie-in to Night of the Owls, but the general overarching plot was that somebody found a murder scene that had Nightwing's eskrima sticks used as the murder weapon. So he's out to clear his name. So this issue picks up with Nightwing talking about the historic district of Gotham and how in all the other cities, the historic district is this nice place. It's a great place to go. It's got nightlife and whatnot. Meanwhile, Gotham's historic district is kind of the worst, much like the rest of the city. But hey, that's why he's here. So then he gets into the apartment where these men were found. And the coroner apparently noted that yes, they were beaten up by the eskrima sticks, but they also seemed to have some burning on their arms, and couldn't figure out why that happened. But then he sees there's this big painting on the wall of an alpha symbol and an omega symbol, like merged together. Think like the anarchy symbol, but instead of a circle, it's the omega symbol. And he's like, what if that burning was them trying to burn off tattoos? That could be something. But before he's even able to do anything about it, police kick in the door, throw in some flashbangs, some smoke bombs, and unleash fire on Nightwing. He, of course, dodges around, does some acrobatics, kicks their faces in, and as he's doing so, he gets a call from Lucius Fox at basically Wayne Enterprises, and he's like, "Hey, Dick, do you have a minute to talk?" And Nightwing in the middle of a fight's like, give me a minute," and he busts out through a window to get away from the fight, to which they have a talk about Nightwing has some plan in mind, something that he wants to do, but he needs a lot of funding for it. He doesn't want to go to Bruce for it, and Lucius is like, well, it's a big stretch, this thing you want to do, which we'll get to later, but I do have someone who might be interested if you want to go for it. And it's like, all right, well, what's the big deal? Why not just hook me up? And it's like, well, the person that I think would have an interest is Tony Zuko's daughter, Sonia Zuko. And Tony Zuko, for those who don't know, is the person who killed Dick Grayson's parents. So there's that. Anyway, cut to the apartment building where Nightwing was just at sometime later. And there's a detective there who's taking the lead on the case called Detective Nye. And Gordon's come up and it's like, "Detective Nye, what in the hell are you doing? You just unleashed fire in a residential building." And Nye's like, "Yeah, we heard Nightwing is in there. He just killed people. He's a threat." And Gordon's like, "Dude, don't push me on this, I swear to God." And Nye's like, "Oh yeah, take me off the case. I dare you. I will sue this place. And you specifically, Gordon." To which we cut to City Hall a little while later, and Gordon's talking to the deputy mayor about Nye, and apparently Nye was brought forward on suspicions of taking evidence of a batarang and using it on a corpse, someone who was already committed, who had already been killed, and then using that to frame a case against Batman, which is why he had a whole bunch of the police after him through a whole bunch of different stories. So at that point, Gordon's like, yeah, we couldn't quite tie it to him, and he threatened to sue if we ever did fire him without super proof that he did it. So, yeah. And so the deputy mayor, because of the events of last issue where he was saved by Nightwing, he was like, all right, cool, what can I do to help? And Gordon's like, you want to, City Hall wants to actually be on my side for once? And they're like, heck yeah, let's do it. Also, don't worry about what Mayor Haiti thinks. He's kind of a dick. So then we go to Dick and Sonia, who are just walking down the street talking, and Sonia's like, "This is weird, isn't it?" And he's like, "Yeah, kinda, but you know what? I have to believe that you want to change for the better, much like I want to change this city for the better." And she's like, "All right, stop the pitch. What do you want to do?" And they've ended up at Amusement Mile, which is basically a theme park inside of Gotham, and it's all run down, and the Joker's been there for a while. Sporadically before this, and Dick Grayson's like, "I want to bring it back. This used to be what made Gotham fun. This was a place that people could just forget their troubles for a while. Gotham kind of sucks. Let's bring this back." And Sonia's like, "Okay, kind of interested. You're going to need a centerpiece, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, I got something in mind." Cut back over to the circus where he's talking to the one clown, Jimmy. And he's like, "You guys maybe want to just be a permanent act at the Amusement Mile rather than being on the road all the time in Haley Circus?" And Jimmy's like, "I don't know if they're going to be for that, but I'll talk to them." And he's like, "Thanks, buddy. You're the best." So then we cut to Zeke's tattoo parlor, where there are 4 guys in there, and they're all getting tatted up, and Nightwing stops in, talks to one of them, and be like, hey, heard you were real close to these specific guys who were killed recently, and I know they had tattoos. What do you know? And they were like, I don't know nothing about nothing. Same as I told that detective guy. It's like, what detective guy? Detective Nye. Oh, crap, Detective Nye's on my case. To which fire is then unleashed upon the whole tattoo parlor. But this time, it isn't the cops. It's a bunch of people wearing those Alpha and Omega symbols as before. So Nightwing kicks out the lights and then starts kicking all their butts. To which he finally gets them all strung up. And he just starts interrogating them. He's like, all right, who's going to tell me what happened? To which the leader seemingly is like, I ain't telling you nothing. But then he turns over to a dude who, like, is very visibly shaken. And he's like, what do you know, Robbie? And Robbie's like, I don't remember. And then it cuts to Nightwing swinging through the city, just dangling Robbie by a wire. And he's like, we're called the Republic of Tomorrow, and we meet at the clock tower. Please put me down. So then Nightwing sets him back down, goes to the clock tower, and he's like, well, I could deal with a couple of teenagers that think they got some anarchist group going on here. But when he goes in, he sees like a full military training ground with all of these dudes dressed in the same gear, an entire arsenal at their disposal. And there's this guy walking out basically saying like, we will be the good of tomorrow, and we will pave the way for the God of tomorrow, because that is our calling. And then he unleashes like an electronic whip thing that knocks Nightwing out of the rafters, causes to crash into the ground, and he introduced himself as Paragon, Gotham's true son, and the future of this city hinges on Nightwing's death. Sure, whatever. So, lame villain notwithstanding, because, he's doing it for the good of the city, because there's totally everything's about that. So, besides that part, I like the other plot going on. I like the plot of Detective Nye framing Nightwing, and I like the plot of him trying to basically get the amusement park up and running. That being said, I do hope that they're able to give a better send-off to Haley Circus than just, no, we don't want to really do that, bye. Give them something. Because they set the entire first arc up, and we have Dick in charge of an entire circus. Yes, it did try to kill a bunch of people at the last showing. However, I don't think that can't be overcome with some good publicity. So, it's good. It's a solid issue. I think that these particular villains that feel like they're just for this arc are pretty lame. And especially because, I have no idea what they're going for. I'm sure we'll get to it, but, this is an entire semi-military occupation here, and I don't even know what they want. They're just talking about the good of tomorrow, which, great. Good for you. So overall, I give this one I give it a 7. Because honestly, that it's such a small little thing that the villains are lame. Because maybe they'll get fleshed out better. It's not a huge impact on this issue. So 7 for right now, and we'll see how it goes from there.